Hey folks, it's Matt once again, and welcome back to another installment of the IMDB Files. And actually, I had a couple people ask me for another one. I'll do a couple more, like one or two more. Then probably won't do one for a while, just because I have so much to get to. I mean, I don't even know when this will be uploaded, but I just have a lot of stuff to get to, a lot of stuff. But at least do a couple more. One of them being for the year 1990. Someone had actually suggested 1990 to me on one of the other IMDb Files videos, and 1990 is a great year. I mean, you have Predator 2, you have Jacob's Ladder, you have the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you have Total Recall, you have I Come in Peace, you have a lot of great movies in 1990. But let's look at some of the lowest rated films of 1990. Starting with Ultra Warrior, starring some guy who I've never heard of called Dak Rambo. Of course, 1990 is one of my favorite years for movies, and the lowest rated film, Ultra Warrior, stars a guy named Dak Rambo. What a coincidence, which gets a 1.6. Also has Misha Taylor, who is in Mannequin and Knots Landing. He unfortunately is no longer with us. He passed away, I think, last year, which is too bad. But this looks like a sword and sorcery film just from the cover alone, where it says, after the nuclear holocaust, one man rises from the ashes to become the leader of a ragged grain of survivors. They soon discover that their greatest challenge is yet to come. They must fight a battle for the ages against the evil minions of the Bishop. Lance Emerson from Aliens? That Bishop? No, it's the Bishop, played by Orlando Saka. Saka shit. But Ultra Warrior, instead of Mega Warrior or Super Warrior, it's Ultra Warrior. That's the lowest rated film of 1990. It's a 1.6. Moving real quick, because some of these have nothing to say. Dragon Hunt, which gets a 2.1. The People's Private Army and their crazy leader, Jake, have a simple plan. Take over the world. Well, if it was that simple, everyone would have done it already 5 times over. Out of Sight, Out of Mind, which gets a 2.1. A woman is haunted by her dead daughter. Seems very simple. Has Susan Blakely, Edward Albert, who I think Edward Albert is the same guy who starred in... Oh, he's no longer with us. That's too bad. Yeah, he starred in Galaxy of Terror. And Wings Hauser, directed by Graydon Clark. Why does that name sound familiar? Oh, that's the guy who did that 80s film Without Warning that I want to check out, which actually Stream Factory came out with a Blu-ray slash DVD combo pack. I would like to check that film out because it's supposed to be Predator before Predator, with Kevin Peter Hall actually playing an alien that hunts people, with Jack Palance and Marlon Landau. That's one I would like to check out one day, if I ever grab that down the road. But Out of Sight, Out of Mind, 2.1. Horror, mystery, thriller. Not much more to say about it. Doesn't even have a cover on IMDb. Soultaker. I've heard of this film. 4 teenagers are killed in a car accident. 2 of the teenagers refuse to go with the Green Reaper, and a race between life and death ensues. Starring Joe Estevez. The Estevez that no one talks about. You have Emilio Estevez. You got, of course, Charlie Sheen and Martin Sheen, but Joe Estevez, which this gets a 2.2, and once again, it's one of these movies that you look at the poster and you see these reviews. Tom Brown of WYBZ Radio, a chilling and powerful film experience. Soultaker is a chilling and powerful film experience, and Video Times, a remarkable film. Don't miss it. A film that gets a 2.2. and I know it has been referenced before as being a notoriously bad film. But apparently, it's all those things as well. I'm curious if there's any trivia on this movie. Is there any trivia on this movie? Soultaker? I'm just curious. Well, every movie has a fan. I've said that before. And every movie has a hater. Nothing really to say much about the PA announcements in the opening scene of the film are taken from the band Queensryche's Operation Mind Crime album. Next up, a nymphoid barbarian in Dinosaur Hell, which gets a 2.2. Well, the name pretty much says it all. It's a nymphoid barbarian in Dinosaur Hell. And post-Armageddon world, with Bruce Willis post that movie, a young woman finds herself in a fight for survival against mutant cavemen, dinosaurs, and other prehistoric animals. I've heard of the title. According to Brett Piper, a distributor said that if he wanted his movies to succeed overseas, they should have all action and no dialogue. Brett Piper made this movie and showed it to the same distributor who said, geez, I can't sell this thing, there's no dialogue. Wow. But that's a 2.2. Now, the next one is Omega Cop, which gets a 2.3. Also has Adam West in it. In the future, a cop goes after a gang of slave traders, and I'm wondering if this is the film. I remember this trailer, but I don't know if I'm confusing this with another movie that has cop in the title. There's one of these movies, it might be Omega Cop. I swear the guy hits everyone in the nuts. It's this or another movie where it seems like the guy is kicking everyone in the nuts. Yeah, it's a post-apocalyptic movie. Some guy who really didn't go on to do much is the main star. I don't know what to say. Omega Cop. I know that's a trailer I've seen before, but I've forgotten the trailer already. Let's see. Click. The Calendar Girl Killer. A 2.3. Click. The Calendar Girl Killer. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? As a thriller that probes the inner sanctum of the mind of a psychotic killer as he uses the world of big fashion photography for his sadistic playground. By Troy Donahue. And anytime I think of that name, I always think of the talk show host, Donahue. This is not the same guy. This is a guy who, this is really depressing. Every time I clicked on someone, they passed away. Edward Albert, Misha Taylor, now Troy Donahue. Everyone I touch is fucking dead. He was also in a Major Cop. Dr. Alien. Cyclone. He was in Cyclone. Godfather Part 2. Wow, he went a long way from Godfather Part 2 to films like Cyclone and Click. The Calendar Girl Killer, and that Click with Adam Sandler. Let's see. Cyber Cheek, which gets a 2.4. A cybernetic agent is assigned to break up a drug smuggling ring, starring someone named Kathy Shower and Burt Ward. So in 1990, we have actors from Batman the TV series, one in Omega Cop and one in Cyber Chick. Which it sounds like she's pretty much a cyber cop. Okay. Satan's Princess, which gets a 2.6. A film called White Fury, which gets a 2.4. Alienator. I've heard of this film. I think yeah, I've seen parts of this film. It's actually in a 4-pack DVD I have, which has Exterminator 2 on it, which was the main reason I wanted it. But this is on there. Cole is an evil guy about to be executed on a distant spaceship. He manages to escape on a shuttle and make his way to some woods in America. Yeah, and he pretty much comes across a group of people, and they think he's whatever. And then they send the Alienator, which is this woman with this weird fucking hair that is pretty much white hair that goes up to here, like Tina Turner to the 10th power. And then she has a mask here. Like if you took Wesley Snipes. Wesley Snipes as Steel would have been cool. If you took Shaquille O'Neal, who was in Steel, and you took his part of his faceplate and you put on this woman, that's what the. And then she has this big gun that goes pew pew. And you're thinking, okay, is she a bad guy? But no, really the guy, because maybe is this guy innocent? But no, the prisoner really is guilty, and she gets the prisoner, and then she goes away, and despite all the fighting, oh, she's cool. She was just doing her job. And you're like, what? John Michael Vincent is in it. He's in it for like a little bit. I think there's one where something that looks like a lightsaber. Someone gets killed with a not quite lightsaber, so we don't get sued. So it's John Philip Law. PJ Souls is in this. Jay Richardson, who I think would be in the. I think he's the same guy would be in that 90s Fantastic Four movie. Directed by Fred Owen Ray. Should have known better. The space prison exterior was reused footage of moon base from UFO in Space 1999. Of course, because it's cheap shit. Abraxas Guardian of the Universe, which gets a 2.6, and even that's too high. I've seen this film, directed by Damien Lee. Damien Lee did a horrendous job with this movie. One of the only films that stars Jesse Ventura, Jesse the Body Ventura. Probably thought he was going to be in the reign of Sylvester Stallone. He wasn't even in the reign of Roddy Piper, because Roddy Piper had good films like They Live. Granted, Jesse Ventura was in Predator. That was cool. And The Running Man, which is cool. But starring this, Svenold Thorson, which is a friend of Arnold's. Arnold's gotten him in a lot of movies. He's the villain. Jesse Ventura is the hero. It's almost like the film wants to be Terminator, but in a shitty way. An alien policeman, Jesse Ventura, arrives on Earth to apprehend a renegade, Sven Thorson, of his own race who impregnates a woman with a potentially destructive mutant embryo. How bad is it? Well, this dialogue. A guy says, "So what makes you think you can locate my 4x4? Jesse Ventura says, "My box has VD." Your what? VD, vibrational detection. Not venereal disease, vibrational detection. I know there's a. I'm wondering if it's actually in here. Yeah. Hey, what are you doing in my shop? I am recharging my answer box. Answer box. And the answer box talks. Test for the anti-life equation. Subject does not possess the anti-life equation. Testing will result in discorporation. Run the test. The garage owner evaporates. You failed. Answer box. Looking for the anti-life equation. Are you a birthing member of the human race? Huh? I need your body. Well, Don't we all say that? Hey, are you a birthing member of the human race? Hmm? I need your body. That's a pickup line right there. I need your body. I'm wondering if the one I was looking for is at the beginning where Jesse Ventura is talking about how long he's lived and uh, yeah, that's one of those movies that's notoriously bad and notoriously one of those movies that you find a lot of places. Like I swear, this is one of those movies that pops up wherever you go when you buy something, and is usually for $1 or $2 because everyone's always getting rid of their copies of Abraxas, and you just yeah, I would love to read the trivia to this. Originally, it was rated R originally. After a topless scene was cut, the rating was changed to PG-13. The anti-life equation mentioned in the film is a concept created by comic book author Jack Kirby, which I did something to do with Dark Seed. Even in the trivia, it says this film is a ripoff of The Terminator. Yeah, I could figure that out. God, I forgot James Belushi was in this. That's right, James Belushi was in this as a principal, something like that, for like a minute or two. I don't watch this. I don't know why the fuck is James Belushi in this film. Is it because he worked with Arnold in Red Heat? And hey, Arnold's buddy's in this, and Jesse Ventura was in Predator with Arnold, which I was in a movie with Arnold, so I'll be in this movie. It actually says here, Schwarzenegger was offered the role of Abraxas, but turned it down and opted to do Terminator 2 instead. Well, if that's true, I guess Arnold missed out. He missed out on doing Abraxas. Even with Arnold, it would have been a god-awful movie. It would have killed his career. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do T2 with James Cameron. That's a tough choice. The next film, Troll 2, by Claudio Fragasso, gets a 2.6. And yeah, this is a notoriously bad movie. I mean, from the fact that it has nothing to do with the first Troll, the fact that the cover of the film has a kid who's not in the movie, has a troll that's not in the movie. The movie itself doesn't even have trolls, they're called goblins. Horrendous acting all around. The director thought he was making a serious movie, but it was one of the great comedies of all time. There's a great documentary called Best Worst Movie. And to be honest, the documentary is better than the movie. But the movie is one of those films that is so laugh out loud hilarious when it's not supposed to be, which sometimes is the best comedies. I mean, you have the I think the goblins, they don't like meat or they don't like bologna. And they like to turn the food green and fuck up people, and the kid actually gets up and pisses in the food, and the dad says, "You can't piss in hospitality. I won't allow it." Which is one of my favorite lines now. You can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it. This is just one of my favorite lines now. You have a sex scene that involves popcorn, and popcorn starts popping. You have acting, though the famous clip, "They're eating her, and they're gonna eat me next. Oh my god!" Yeah. What more can you say about Troll 2? And then it has like an out of the blue, downbeat, dark ending, which just makes it even more weird. The entire cast went to a casting call hoping to be extras and ended up in lead roles. Although the movie was titled Troll 2 to capitalize on the minor success of Troll, Troll had a minor success? I didn't know it had a success at all. It has no connection to the plot or production of the earlier film. The director and wife, who only spoke Italian, wrote the screenplay in very poor English. On set, the actors suggested they ad-lib their lines to make the dialogue sound better, and the director forbade it. All the lines had to be read as written. The director is still angry about the film's poor reception. He crashed a cast reunion Q&A. After he was escorted out of the room, he heckled the cast from the hallway, calling them liars and dogs as they answered fan questions. Yeah, the director still thinks it's a sincerely good movie. The infamous "Oh my God" scene has been viewed on YouTube nearly 4 million times. I tell you, that scene gets around. The co-writer, which is the director's wife, got the idea to write the movie after several of her friends became vegetarians at the same time. At one point, the director was penning a sequel, Troll 2, Part 2. The lead kid, Michael Stevenson, did not see the film until Christmas 1991 when he received a VHS tape of the movie as a gift. And yeah, that's a really shitty gift. Yeah, George Hardy, who's the father, he's a dentist now in Salt Lake City. Connie Young, an actress, didn't see the film until it aired on HBO. It's considered one of the worst films of all time, and there's a reason for it. But you can laugh at it as well. It's one of those movies that you can at least laugh at. And I'm surprised it has a 2.6. I figured with the cult following enough to get a documentary that people were rated higher, even when it's so bad it's good. I'm still surprised it gets a 2.6. And that right there shows how surprised I am. My body's gas wanted to escape. Gas in my body's like, what? I wanted to say its displeasure as well. A 2.8 for this film called Spirits with Eric Estrada, who I guess Eric Estrada plays a priest trying to regain his standing in the church after falling and sleeping with a woman. Teams with a group of ESP experts to investigate a haunted house. Doesn't help that one of the experts is a beautiful young woman. Spirits. Shot in 9 days. Probably need a bit more than 9 days. Some film called Gross Out gets a 2.9. A wealthy but deeply worked woman offers her 3 adult children the opportunity to inherit her entire $28 million fortune if they can produce a movie so vile and disgusting that it actually makes her vomit. Oh my god. The Cinema Snob reviewed this film. He reviewed this. I watched the Cinema Snob. I like the guy, Brad Jones. He did this as a Cinema Snob episode. And him talking about it and the clips he showed, it really is such a cheap-looking, unfunny, annoying movie that, like the title says, is just trying to gross out in all sorts of crazy ways. And honestly, just check out the Cinema Snob review, because that's better than anything I could say about it. Now, next up is a film that I would not give this low of a rating. Extra 2, starring Jan Michael Vincent, which I remember hearing stories that he was pretty much drunk through a lot of it. Same director who did the first Extra and I think the third one. Yeah, the director says he was extremely difficult to work with. Vincent didn't care about the film and thus didn't memorize his lines. And then the director was forced to feed every line to him while filming each scene. The director said he personally hates the film and only made it for money because somehow he retained the rights to the name Extra. The sequel has nothing to do with the first film. To Harry Bromley Davenport, I'm sorry. I think it's your best film. You can hate the film. That's fine. I think it's the best film you ever did. Because I think the first Extra sucks. I think the third Extra sucks. I think this is the only semi-decent Extra film. Because really, it's a Takes place in an underground complex. Have a way to travel to another dimension. They send someone back up there. Something comes back, and it's pretty much a ripoff of Aliens, however you want to call it. That's really what it is. It's a ripoff of Aliens. But I found it somewhat entertaining. I thought it was a fun, decent time waster. I didn't mind Jan Michael Vincent, even though if he didn't give a fuck, I didn't mind him. Nicholas Lee, who I remember his character on the X Files, he had a recurring role in that. It's nice to see him in there. And I remember having some decent gore bits. It was really a straightforward, entertaining Aliens ripoff. R-rated, did decent bits of gore. I think it's a huge step up from the first Astro. The first Astro was trying to be Kramer versus Kramer, and then it was because he had too many cooks in the kitchen. He had all this wacky shit, like all of a sudden a cougar or a puma or a black panther, I don't even remember what animal it was, just jumps out of nowhere, and then toys that come alive, and these eggs that are on the fucking ceiling, and I mean, it starts off with a fucking woman being raped, and then she gives birth to a full-size man, and then no, it's a guy who gets abducted, and then this alien rapes this woman, and then gives birth to this full-grown guy who looks like the guy that we saw abducted earlier in the film, and then wants his son, I guess, to turn him into an alien. And then ends with a depressing or sequel bait ending, and it's one of those like, what the fuck's going on? And funny interview with the director. That's why I have I think the DVD I have is Extra 1 and 2, and it's a fun interview with the director. But Extra 2, I think, is the only decent one. So I wouldn't give it a 3.0. I'd give it a higher. That's why I didn't disagree with. I have fun with Extra 2 for what it is. Like in the realm of the Terror Within, I would put the Terror Within above it, but in that realm, I just find of entertaining. I can be entertained by it, the film. Film just a 3.0, Last Flight to Hell, with Reb Brown. Reb Brown. Don't know who Reb Brown is, look him up. That's a fun actor to watch. Ah! If you know Reb Brown, you know what I mean. He stars a highly trained DEA agent who goes to Southeast Asia on a high-risk mission to free a drug dealer from Nazi terrorists so that he can face trial back in the U.S. It's a 3.0, also has Chuck Connors. Doesn't even have a cover on IMDb, so I don't know much about it. Well, that's weird. This one film, which is a 3.0, Eternity. I say it's weird because of the cast, because the cast is Jon Voight, Armand Assante, and Wilford Brimley. I'm like, that's not too bad of a cast, to be honest. TV producer James has an extremely vivid dream in which he is a prince struggling to keep the kingdom at peace against the wishes of his warfaring brother, while at the same time competing with his brother for a woman's love. The figures in his dream match those in his real life, with his brother being an aggressive businessman trying to buy James out, the king being James' advisor, and the woman being an actress recently cast for a commercial at his studio. Seeing his dreams as a message about his life, James decides to act on their guidance, even though they lead him into the fight of his life. And Jon Voight is James. So it seems like a TV producer who daydreams between, being in a kingdom and in real life. And again, it doesn't even have a cover on here, so I don't know anything about the movie, but it doesn't sound like the worst movie in the world, but I don't know. It's a 3.0. Filmed by David Heavener, called Twisted Justice, with Eric Estrada and Shannon Tweed. Directed by David Heavener as well as starring him. It's 3.1. In LA of the future, police are forbidden to carry weapons and must use stun guns called stingers instead. Let's see, what else is the plot of this? Also has Jim Brown and Karen Black. Jesus. A maverick detective ignores those restrictions in the pursuit of the bullseye murderer, a psychotic rapist who takes a new drug called Umbra. Sounds like something in Resident Evil. That gives him superhuman strength and intelligence. The time is the future. He's a renegade cop. Nothing stands in his way. Not even the law. Law. Well, kind of not much of a cop then, is he? David Heavener seems like one of those guys that you just don't want to watch his movies. And he was a guy that started directing a lot of his own movies, but does he have a fan base? Because again, his movie seems like the type that you just don't want to watch his movies. I don't know what it is. Well, I do know what it is. They look like shit, but next up is a film called Lambada, which gets a 3.1. I think this is one of those films that was on the Canon documentary, Lambada. I think it was. Yeah, released around the same time as The Forbidden Dance. And they're like competing with each other. And I think pretty much everyone lost in that competition. Didn't see it, but it's about a fucking Beverly Hills school teacher by day and a mystery man by night, using the lambada dance to Flesh Gordon meets the Cosmic Cheerleaders, which is a 3.2. It's pretty much a sci-fi comedy, like porn parody type of thing, like more like a sex comedy type of thing, I should say. A film called The Invisible Maniac, which gets a 3.2, which the new physics professor has a disappearing act that's a real stream. Yeah, it's pretty much Killer Invisible Man movie. Yeah, young scientist lad is caught by his mom checking out the lady across the way with his telescope. She lectures him on the evils of women. 20 years later, and all grown up, the scientist announces his theories of invisibility, and his colleagues laugh, to which he responds by killing 4 of them. Wow, that's a way to respond. He escapes from the loony bin and gets a job teaching summer school. Well, thank God you did a background check to see, hey, did this guy kill people? Wow, well, he's a scientist. He was smart enough not to get caught. Students decide to tease him about the same time as he professes his invisible juice, and he goes on a spree of vengeance. The idea actually doesn't... Kind of reminds me later on he had Hollow Man. I guarantee you Hollow Man is a better movie than this, because I like Hollow Man. Because it's an Invisible Man movie, but it's a slasher movie. Like Hollow Man. But Hollow Man, that's directed by Paul Verhoeven. You got a good cast with Kevin Bacon and Josh Brolin, Elizabeth Shue. Well, this is directed by Adam Rifkin. Name sounds familiar. Oh, he directed The Chase, Detroit Rock City, a segment of Chillerama called Wadzilla, and he wrote I Like the Chase with Charlie Sheen. He wrote Mouse Hunt, Small Soldiers, Underdog, Knucklehead with the Big Show. Wow. Well, some Disney stuff. Let's see. The 1990 Captain America was just a 3.2. I did a rant on this movie. Directed by Albert Pune, aka Poontang Pie, Poonstain. That guy, he's directed maybe 4 films I like. The Sword and the Sorcerer, which I would like to review one day. I don't know if the DVD you can still get. If so, I would like to get that DVD one day. Probably expensive. If not, I'll grab it one day. But I remember liking The Sword and the Sorcerer. I love Cyborg. I enjoyed Nemesis, and I really enjoyed Dollman. All his films I've seen have really, really sucked. The Nemesis sequels were horrible. His Kickboxer sequels were horrible. This movie was horrible. Bullet Phase, which he did in 2010, was horrible. And I only saw that because he gave it for free when you bought the Cyborg Director's Cut, which that was a piece of fucking horse shit. Ticker is not that great of a movie. Blast was very fucking boring with Lyndon Ashby in a wannabe Die Hard movie. Postmortem, I had to give that another look. I remember not minding it, but might not have aged well. Adrenaline Fear the Rush, that's a film that did not grow on me. I thought it was okay, and then it kind of grew less and less. Brain Smasher, very disappointing Andrew Dice Clay movie, especially after Forward Failing, which I love. Alien from LA, that was another incredibly boring film, as was Dangerously Close. Thought that was a really shitty film. So he's made a lot of shitty films. Nights, it was okay to see the drill kick some ass, but that was pretty much it. And I didn't mind Chris Christopherson, but I still thought it was pretty piss poorly directed. Captain America was a horrible movie. I mean, I did my rant, looked up my review, my rant is it still up? I should wait before I say that. Is my rant still up? If I do Captain America rant on YouTube. Yep, 1990 rant, 8 months ago, which is 39 minutes long. Because a nice girl named Hope had sent that Blu-ray to me. I don't know if she still watches my stuff, but if you still do, thank you once again for that. Because it was nice to watch again. It was a film from my childhood, and it was nice to have because it has some features, as interviews with the director and the star Matt Salinger, and it was nice to see again. Nice to see the features. It's not great features, but it was nice to see them. Our curiosity. So I'm glad. It was a very nice gift. It's just a really shitty movie. Just very cheaply made. Lack of action. Red Skull kicking Captain America's ass and seemed like Captain America was a bitch. Easily defeated by the Red Skull. A lot of them stealing cars or faking sick stealing cars, or for some reason they made the Red Skull Italian. And then, no, he's not going to be the Red Skull. He's going to have this face mask for some reason. And I did a 40-minute rant on it. What more can I say, folks? Just check out the rant. Just type up Captain America rant. And I found it. I just scrolled down a little bit. There was me. Or type Captain America on my channel. Trivia. Val Kilmer was also considered for the child role, but declined in favor of the Doors. Well, that made sense to work with Oliver Stone instead of this shitty film. Batman Forever is a miles better movie than this one. I remember this film. It was going to get a theatrical release because there was a poster. I think even a trailer. But it even says here, it was released internationally, but it didn't get a theatrical release. It received a limited theatrical release in 2011 to promote the first Avenger. It was Al Pacino toured the country with his director's cut. I don't give a shit about his director's cut. I don't need to see it. They considered getting 2 different actors for the role of Captain America, one for the weak pre-superhero Steve Rogers, and another for the superhero Captain America, but decided to get an actor that could play both roles instead. Well, in a way, it kind of defeated the purpose because before he went into it, he looked like a tough guy. See, in an interview, the director mentioned his experience with the film. He said that the film was shelved for 2 years because it wasn't the movie the studio wanted, plus the producing studio was undergoing financial issues. He also said the most challenging part of shooting the film was that they lacked proper funding. Pune recalled, "It's pretty difficult to make a film when there were times we actually had no money in the bank." And that's really the big problem, there was no money in it. Dolph Lundgren and Arnold Schwarzenegger were up for the part of Captain America. However, Arnold's accent lost him the part, and Lundgren was busy filming The Punisher. Punisher is a humongous, miles better movie. That's a badass movie. That's a great fucking movie. Punisher gets a 5.6. I still think that's way too fucking low. I'm glad it's higher than Captain America, but 5.6 is way too fucking low for The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. Before this movie was introduced, Marvel Comics head honcho Stan Lee insisted that it was good. He wrote, "Director Albert Pune did it so well and so excitingly that everyone in the audience kept clamoring for more," to account for the film being scheduled for a reshoot. Wonder how much Stan Lee got paid for that. That'd be a good question to ask. The original mask had holes that allowed Matt Salinger's ears to be seen, but as this caused uncomfortable chafing, plastic ears were used, and yeah, plastic ears. Albert Pune replaced John Stockwell as the director. Wow, a shitty director for another shitty director, as well as shitty actor John Stockwell. Michael Winner was slated to direct when the film was in production at Cannon. Michael Winner sounds like from what I heard, sounded like an asshole in real life, but better director. In an interview with Retrojunt, Ronnie Cott said, "Captain America remains to this day the finest script I ever read. How those guys messed that film up, I will never know." Well, no money and not that great of a director. That helps a lot as well. 3.2. Let's see. Something, the Judas Project. How would you react if Christ had reappeared on Earth today? Would mankind repeat their mistakes or accept him? Gets a 3.2. Sounds like a ballsy idea. A modernized second coming of Christ. Instead of facing Romans, there's different obstacles in this modern times that he'd have to face. It kind of sounds like a ballsy idea. Pretty crazy idea. I mean, when you're going to do that, if you're not good, you don't get a 3.2 rating on IMDb. I don't know what more I can say about it than that. Next up is a film called Club Fed, which gets a 3.3, which has Burt Young in it, Sherman Hemsley, Karen Black. A gangster's girlfriend is framed and sent to a minimum security prison. The cover just looks fucking awful. Just, if you look at the cover really tells it all. And another movie directed by Graydon Clark, The Forbidden Dance, speaking of which is a 3.3. Filmed during the Lambada dance craze, if there really ever was one. I never knew there was one. And the film tries to have a social conscience. That's the summary on IMDb. Even the summary on IMDb doesn't want to talk about The Forbidden Dance. Fuck. Next up is a film called Full Fathom 5, which gets a 3.3. Stars Michael Moriarty. Adapted from the best-selling novel, Navy Captain Peter Mackenzie is sent on his toughest assignment when the Soviet nuclear submarine Kirov Tirov is stolen and the weapons are aimed at the United States. I like Michael Moriarty. Film doesn't sound that bad. I think my friend Mike has this on VHS. Started by Carl Franklin. Why does that name sound familiar, Carl Franklin? I don't know. If you hear something, it's my stomach rumbling. I get something to eat. Haven't eaten too much today. But let me do a couple more of these. I guess Carl Franklin is more of an actor. I wonder what else he's directed. Devil in a Blue Dress with Denzel Washington. Nowhere to Run from 1989. I knew that guy sounded familiar. He directed Out of Time, a 2003 film with Denzel Washington, which I remember not minding too much. Out of Time with Denzel. But it's one of those Denzel films no one really talks about. It has, God, that was Sana Lathan. I didn't. Ava Mendes, which was a better actress. Dean Cain was in it. Out of Time, man, I haven't seen that in a while. I knew that name sounded familiar. I think I saw that in the theater back in the day. Out of Time. Let me do a couple more. Guns. Just a 3.5 with Eric Estrada. Yeah, Eric Estrada, man. It's like anytime he's in a movie, just going to be shit based on these ratings. A South American gunrunner uses an island in Hawaii as its base of operations. Well, why don't we use it in South America instead of Hawaii? A squad of beautiful government agents is sent to put him out of business. Chicks with guns. Guess I'll talk about a couple more because it's getting 47 minutes in. I'm looking at the first page as well, and I'm not even done with the first page. I'll jump around a little bit because there's one that I really disagree with, which I'll talk about last. So I'll jump ahead a little bit, talk about some of these others. American Born, which is a John Travolta film in 1990, which gets a 3.7. A teenager who's obsessed with gangster movies believes himself to be a real gangster after his father is murdered. Oh no, that's Joey Travolta, not John Travolta. Okay, I read it wrong. This is Joey Travolta. I was reading, like, I don't remember John Travolta being in a movie like that. It's Joey Travolta. Okay. American Born. So a guy obsessed with gangster movies thinks he's a real gangster when his dad's murdered. Why does it remind me of Fade to Black or something? Let's see, a film called Metamorphosis, which gets a 3.7. About a scientist who is working on a serum which will stop human aging. His colleagues don't believe in his work. And did I see this movie and completely forgot about it? Maybe I'm thinking Metamorphosis, the Alien Factor. When his university funding is threatened by skeptical benefactors, the doctor takes a desperate measure to justify his work. He administers the serum to himself, but the results are unexpected and horrendous. Witness the change is the tagline. I love on the cover here, 3D electronic video packaging, LED lights. Man. Skinned Alive, directed by John Kilo. Scott Speedo has an acting role in this. I have this film on DVD, but that's only because it's for the Jarrow Bookwalter collection. This is a director who directed The Dead Next Door. Um, his movies are not that great, to be honest, but I really like them for the features and the commentary, because Jarrow Bookwalter, some really fun commentaries. Like him and another guy did, what was it, Planet of the Dinosaurs or something like that. Horrible film, but very fun commentary. Something with Galaxy of the Dinosaurs, that's what it was. And like his commentary is very entertaining, fun, but also informative. Like commentaries for the Sandman and all the problems with the film, and um, so I just wanted to grab as many DVDs. He was a producer on this, and the making of was fun to watch because it's really independent filmmaking and all the fuck ups and what went wrong, and a lot of those films that Gerald Bookwell was involved with, they always turn to shit. And like Joe Bookwell seems like a pretty decent guy and fun guy to listen to on commentary, and then the making of. But a lot of his film, whether directing or producing, there's such shoestring, low budget films, but just really interesting backstories. And the film was about, this is the tale of a crazed family of weirdos led by Crawl Daddy who likes to kill people and remove their skin. Horrible, horrible film, but just a fun little documentary, like 20 some minute. I got like really cheap, and for that collection, it's just fun stuff to listen to. There's a film called Cartel with Miles O'Keefe, which is a 3.6. I've seen this film. That was just a really lame, boring action film. Miles O'Keefe is a charter pilot who unknowingly, without his knowledge, smuggles cocaine for the cartel into the U.S. He's captured by the feds, gets a deal, this, that. Just really boring, lackluster action movie. 3.6, I would give it even lower. Some called Red Blooded American Girl, which gets a 3.6. Andrew Stevens, Heather Thomas, Christopher Plummer. A young woman is transformed into a vampire by a virus. That's weird. It's called Red Blooded American Girl, but then it's about a virus. Huh. I mean, she turns into a vampire. Just the cover, she's laying naked in a huge ass American flag. Just seems strange. American Ninja 4: The Annihilation with Michael Dudikoff, who's in it, and David Bradley. I did a rant on this movie. It's still up. Just type up American Ninja. And if I haven't said this before, sadly, overseas, the American Ninja films are getting a Blu-ray release with like a feature-length documentary, which fucking sucks. It's not here. I think it's going to be on the first movie. Like the first film on Blu-ray has like a, I swear they say like a feature-length documentary on all the films, which that pisses me off because why can't it be in here in the U.S.? But this movie, I ranted on this film. The two, Michael Dudikoff, David Bradley, they don't even share any screen time except one bullshit scene where Dudikoff thinks he's fighting David Bradley, but someone in a mask. I swear it's like the both of them were shooting two different movies. Like Dudikoff was shooting almost a fucking Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome wannabe movie, and then David Bradley was shooting, hey, I'm being tortured and beaten up and trapped. Someone come save me movie. After going in and then getting captured. David Bradley claims that he had lobbied the producers to have his and Dudikoff's characters work in tandem throughout the whole movie, but his efforts were frustrated when Dudikoff agreed to appear only on the condition that his character would save the day on his own and clearly be shown to be the superior fighter. Well, I thought that's a mistake on Dudikoff's part. Uh, Probably Michael Dudikoff probably didn't have any respect for David Bradley because he's like, who's this guy? I starred in the first two. I don't want to be second banana for this guy. And American Ninja Forge is a terrible movie. I ranted on that film. It's still up on my channel. Just look up why I hated the film. A film called The Final Alliance, 3.5, with David Hasselhoff, Bull Hopkins, and John Saxon. A drifter and his pet Puma, Puma, stands up against a motorcycle gang in a small American town. I've seen the trailer to this. John Saxon looks weird. Like, John Saxon looks like he's 80 years old if you watch the trailer to that. And is David Hasselhoff having a pet Puma and fighting a motorcycle gang? Haven't seen it, but I don't know more I can say about it. The last one I'm going to talk about was just a 3.5, which is way too fucking low. And it's Watchers 2, which I thoroughly enjoy. Same guy who directed The Terror Within, which is probably why the creature in The Terror Within is the creature in this movie that they use. It's a low-budget movie. Yes, it is. But Watchers 2, I find an entertaining B movie. When people talk about entertaining B movies, this is, to me, one of them. Has that plot. You have a dog who's been genetically re-engineered. It has a psychic link with this monster. Monster breaks out because of these assholes who break in, and they're trying to get all the animals out and liberate them, but they don't realize there's a government test that fucked up. Kills the people. The scientist chases after it. Mark Senior stars in it. He's a big reason why I love it. To me, this is my favorite film with Mark Senior. I'm sorry, it's not Beastmaster. It's this film. That's Paul Ferguson. Hell, I remember his character's name. That's how much I love the film. And he is with these guys who are military police, taking him because he punched a superior officer in the face. And he's even, hey, watch out, there's a dog in the road. And the guys are assholes, try to hit the dog. And he's like, what the hell are you doing? Saves the dog. Monster comes in, fucks those guys up. Mark Senior and this dog have a bond with each other. They go to reach Tracy Scoggins, who's knew the dog Einstein. She's a good girl, I should say. Pretty much the three of them being chased by this monster. And wherever they go, the monster is closely behind, killing people left and right. Mark Senior with a shotgun, fucking up the creature, fucking up with a knife. Watchers 2 is an entertaining movie. It's one of those creature feature B movies that I enjoy. Mark Senior with a shotgun, chasing a monster in the sewer, getting fucked up, getting his shoulder really badly fucked up, saving the day, fucking up with a shotgun. Simple, straightforward. I always like that premise with Watchers. I enjoy the first Watchers. Watchers 2 is my favorite. Watchers 3 is there. I like. Watchers 4 is a piece of shit. 3.5 my ass. This film should not get a 3.5. I'm sorry. It should get much higher. I don't get what the big deal is. Yeah, it's a low-budget movie. I'll take this low-budget movie over any of the movies coming out today. And of course, well, because you're nostalgic. No, because I think Mark Senior does a great job. And I think he's a badass. The dog is cute. Well trained. Got some nice bits between the two. Straightforward plot. Entertaining. I'm sorry that I like entertaining movies. But Watchers 2, that's one I wholeheartedly disagree with. Should not get that low of a rating. But that's the best way to end this almost hour-long video. Actually, I'll probably just do this one video because I don't really have time to do some others because I just have too much stuff to do. But someone had mentioned 1990, and then another person I mentioned to do another one of these videos. This is the best I can do before I just have a lot of other stuff to get to. But I hope you guys enjoyed the IMDb Files of 1990. And weirdly enough, I had only gotten to like 3.7, something like that. So maybe one day down the road I'll do more. But until then, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.